Maureen Pound is an Australian entrepreneur, an author and online dating expert, known for her candid and practical approach to modern dating. After a 7-year hiatus from dating, she embarked on a personal journey through Tinder, engaging with thousands of matches and meeting close to 100 men. Her engagements led her to write How to Get Laid on Tinder for Men, a guide aimed at helping men navigate online dating with authenticity and confidence. Maureen also co-hosts the How to Get Laid on Tinder podcast, where she delves into topics around sex, relationships, and digital intimacy. Maureen, thank you so much for joining us today from Melbourne. It's very kind of you. I wanted just to step back a little bit and ask you a little bit about your early life, what your formative years were like, and what your interest in relationships and intimacy came from.
So I was youngest of 9 children and grew up in a very loving Catholic family. And I have always been interested in probably 2 things, people and words. And so people have always fascinated me, and I've had a genuine interest in people and relationships from a young age. So so along the journey of life, I ended up I found myself writing a book about dating. Who knew?
What was the age gap between the 9 children? How old was the oldest compared to you?
The eldest is 18 and a half years older than I am, so it's really top heavy. So there's one 18 and a half, 17, 16, so Mum thought she'd finished at 7, and then she got pregnant with my brother and was really annoyed. And then by the time I came along, she's like, whatever. What's 8 to 9?
I guess when there's 9 kids, you sort of bring each other up, and it must have been a kind of fun, exhausting, happy, annoying, fascinating childhood, really. And I guess that's where your ability to have relationships with people that were 18 years older than you, and there's a few years older than you, came about, really. Most of us maybe have a sibling or two. They annoy us, we get on with them, there's a couple of year difference, but that massive span, and your parents as well, I guess that's where the relationship side of things came from. One thing I noticed is you've had
just on that, just getting over things. Like, you don't hold grudges. Someone annoys you, and you still speak to them the next day because they're your sister or your brother, or and just learning to not sweat the small stuff, which is really big in relationships and marriages and dating.
It is on a personal level. I'm rubbish at that. So I'm pretty good with the big stuff, but some little thing will annoy me, and I think, and I just for want of a better word, sulk for a couple of days. It's terrible, isn't it? But I find the small stuff harder to get over than the big stuff. But like you say, in relationships,
but you only sulk for a couple of days. Like, everyone's got their time frames. It's like what you do after that that's important, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I noticed, and we mentioned before we started recording, you've done a lot of things apart from this. You've had and have a very successful career in business, and I wonder what was it that made you want to go into the world of online dating and coaching in a more serious way?
So, what happened was, I was in my late 30s, and I wanted to find a partner, a nice bloke to marry, as we say in Australia, and it just didn't work out. And I was running out of time, and my biological clock was ticking. So I decided that I was going to have children on my own through anonymous sperm donor. So I stopped dating completely, and then had these children, these beautiful children, and I was blissfully in motherhood for about 7 or so years, with no dates, as you mentioned. And then I went back into the world of dating when I realised I wanted to, with a thud, so to speak. So it wasn't like, I've always got this thing, I want to help men with dating. It was more that I went on this journey myself, and met, as you mentioned, lots of men, and some of them were doing really well and some of them were really frustrated. And as I said, I love words and communication, and I'd help them just tweak something like even their opening approach to a woman online. Instead of going hey or hi, for example, my friend lifts weights, and on her dating profile, she's got a picture of her lifting weights. And one guy wrote, "Wow, you look really strong. I love a strong woman." That's the opening line, the opening, and that cuts through. So I was sharing these sorts of ideas with men, and they were really, really grateful. And someone, I think even one of them said flippantly, "You should write a book." And so I went, yeah, I have a writing background. I love words. I think I've got something to add. And I'm really practical. So men like practical. I think women often tell them what they beat around the bush or not quite get to the point, or say what we don't want, but don't specify exactly what we do. So that's what I wanted to write, a book from a woman's perspective, with kindness, for men, that's really simple and structured, and here's what might work and these are the steps.
Mm. Yeah, and I always sort of have a view, having been to Australia a few times, that I think there's people in Australia a lot more direct than you are in the UK. So goodness knows what what men and women are like in the UK. So when you first went back onto Tinder, what was the experience like? Did you find that people's profiles didn't match who they were, that they'd had photos from 20 years ago? What were the sort of highs and lows of your time on Tinder?
I think it gets an unfair rap. I think it's a
Mhm.
tool like anything else. And it's you and the tool. I think in my whole time, there was one guy that was not who the picture was not him, and he let me know before we met, and I said, "Well, stuff you, I'm not meeting you, go away." And that was like one experience out of all those experiences. So I think we tend to, we see the Tinder swindler, and
Yeah.
so many people. The app is a way to meet and to connect with people. Then you get off the app. Get off as soon as possible. It's just a tool.
Mm.
So in my experience, yes, of course, there were emotions involved and there were hormones and it was a roller coaster. But I learnt things along the way. Like if I was feeling shit or down, and I don't go on the app, you're not going to get the appreciation you want. You're going to behave badly probably if someone's going to annoy you when he said the same thing when you're happy. It wouldn't annoy you. So I learned if I'm feeling down, even though I want a dopamine hit of a match and someone liking me, it's not a time to go on it. I also don't even like the word ghosting. What do you mean ghosting? In the old days, the guy just didn't call you back. That's good. You're not wasting your time. Like, why do they even come up with this ghosting? It's like the person has unmatched you, or I think it's a pretty clear signal that they're not interested for whatever reason. And who knows the reason? They probably don't even know themselves. So, yeah. So for me, what I did was I decided to ride the roller coaster, and after a while, with exposure, what once hurt didn't hurt so much. So to say I got unmatched and it was 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, oh, I quite liked him. Okay, next. And 5 minutes later, I was all right. Whereas in the early days, it was like for days, I'm like, oh, but I really liked that guy.
Could you tell pretty quickly whether a guy was looking for a hookup, on your words, just to get laid, versus those looking for a relationship?
Yes, yeah. So they will. Some of them are too direct and too blunt, and they want certainty, which I think younger guys should learn to hold off a bit. And life isn't certainty. Even if she says she's interested, doesn't mean that it's in the bag. So like, stop with the certainty. Um, and sorry, what was your question again?
And whether you could tell very quickly whether a
Oh
guy
yes,
just wanted to get
yes,
laid or was looking
yeah,
for something longer term.
yeah. So some of them were just really, really blunt, which usually turns a good woman off. A lot of times it does. And then the ones
Yeah.
that were good at it would just plant a bit of a seed or be a little bit cheeky.
Mhm.
and just see if the woman's going to reciprocate. I think that's the best way to do it. So yeah, you can. Some it gets a bit boring after a while, but some always say, "So, what are you after on here?" um, and also, you can write in your profile what you're after as well. The other thing, Andrew, that I really noticed was when I started researching for the book, etc. I think men sometimes get a bit of a bad rap as well. Men are only after one thing. Well, they are a relationship eventually. Most men want a relationship.
Yeah.
You don't see old men wanting to be on their own. It's just not the case. So, so what happens is it's like this journey where men will go, they want to hook up, they'll hook up, and then boom, they find someone they really like, or they're ready, or whatever. The stars align, and they go for a relationship.
Well, if a man is looking to create a profile on Tinder, um, I guess that the sort of thought is not having been on it that people tend to write enjoy long walks, curling up by the fire, all those sort of things that people think people want to hear. But what is it that people, men in particular, should be focusing on when they're trying to create a profile for themselves? How do they obviously they want to present themselves genuinely, hopefully, but also want to present themselves in their best light? 'Cause it's a pretty competitive field out there. So how does a man write an interesting and engaging Tinder profile?
So, one thing I want to say up front, which might be a little bit controversial, but women are like men, they are visual, and if there's attraction there, he can write nothing and they still probably be attracted if they're really attracted. So let's get that out of the way. Um, so, so they could do a list. Like you can do a list in an emoji of your interests. Even that is better than nothing. So you want to be true to yourself and write what your interests are on there. It might be the type of music, it might be the sport you're into, the footy team, whatever it is. You could do something like that. I love ones where there's the touch of humour or it's self-deprecating a little bit. Where they write things like, "I'm getting on this dating app one last time, or else Nonna's going to be send me home to the home country to find a wife." Just something that's
Yeah.
quirky and fun. What you do, and what they don't work so well is any sort of negativity. No time wasters.
Mhm.
No, and just like, we're not interested in you telling me what you don't
Yeah.
want. And you can just have a simple, looking for to meet fun people and maybe something more with the right person, and that's fine too.
And once you match with somebody on Tinder, I guess my experience now I was terrible at it was sort of I guess flirting in what we call the real world and having those conversations and being able to see the body language and stuff. So how does a man instigate an engaging conversation once a match with somebody? How do you start the interaction off again wanting to portray yourself in the best light?
Yeah, great. So I'll start with what a lot of men do. They start with "Hey, sexy" or "Hey,
Mhm.
beautiful." So they focus on the physical. So I would not do that
Yeah.
because um, you're outnumbered. There's way more men on there than women, so they're going to get a lot of that.
Okay.
And even though women want to see as being attractive, they want to be seen for more than that. So
Yeah.
so what I would do if I was writing an opening line and I was a man, I would look at the photos and see, oh, she's playing tennis. I'll say something. I'll compliment her on
Mhm.
her. You looks like you got a great backhand there. Just anything that's a compliment. Then, if she says she loves art galleries, then you'd comment on the last time you went to the art gallery and ask a question or whatever. So you're going through their profile,
Yeah.
their picture. You're showing them that it's more than just you're interested more than just because of how they look. And then the other thing,
Mhm.
and look, Andrew, you're a good communicator, so this is communication 101. But I think for some people, it's like, oh, really? So men will ask a woman
Yeah.
a question, right? So just say, what did you get up to on the weekend? And the woman said, oh, I
Mhm.
caught up with my friends from school. I haven't seen them for 5 years. Then he goes, and and what did you have for lunch? And then she'll answer the question, and then he'll ask another question, and she'll answer. So he hasn't engaged in what she's given him. I've caught up with
Yeah, yeah.
friends. I haven't seen them for this long. So then he'd say, wow, that must have been so fun, right? Then he will give the next part of the formula is for him to give something of himself. I've actually got my school reunion next year. Do you know what I mean? So it's like this showing an interest in the person, asking a great question or a not so great question, seeing what you get back, and then commenting on what she's served you before
Yeah.
then offering something of yourself.
It's funny, isn't it? Like you say, I mean, you're obviously incredibly natural at this, but yeah, and I think many men would listen and say, "But I'm asking questions, but I thought that's what women to do is ask questions." So it's not a bloody interview, though, is it? You want to have some give and take, and yeah, literally, as you were saying about, oh, I met a friend at the weekend. Yeah, my well, what would I say to that? Say, yeah, God, yeah, I think I caught up with one of my friends I haven't seen for like 10 years a while ago. It was so good,
Mm.
isn't it, to meet them and find out what they're doing? You just it's called a conversation.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not an
exactly.
interrogation. It's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Because
and
you do.
I don't know whether we have this incredible ability globally now to be able to connect with anybody. I mean, you're in Melbourne, I'm in London. We're, we're 9 hours apart, whatever. We're thousands of miles apart, but we're talking quite happily. We're having a conversation, and sometimes I think that although we have the ability to connect with anybody, sometimes our ability to have a conversation or a dialogue or even to be intimate has been challenged by the sort of digital age. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. And so I think it's almost like these skills need to be taught.
Yeah.
I often will, even with my teenage kids, when they're writing a message to a friend or they're relaying a conversation, and I'll dissect and I say, "We'll see what happened here. Like that was a bit blamey, and that's why that's happened." And so it's like trial and error, and you learn. But people still get to adulthood, and they don't know how to have texting banter, or yeah, they just can't, as you say, have a conversation.
Yeah. No, I'm fairly lucky as I've got 2 teenage children, an 18-year-old girl and a 15-year-old boy. And my son's in sort of lots of sort of sports teams. It has that sort of banter thing going on. My daughter does drama and psychology, so he's very good at sort of communicating and stuff. And I always think that, yeah, almost one of the biggest skills in life is to be able to sit next to somebody on the tram or the bus or whatever and have a conversation. Just talk to somebody. And I think it's a lot of teenagers in particular will say, "What?" Almost the worst thing they could ever imagine. They've got their head down on the phone and they can't imagine anything worse than actually talking to somebody. But no matter what you get in your end of year exams, what you get in your degree or whatever, so much of life is about how you can talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Once you get in somewhere, your ability to be able to have a conversation in business, in relationships, it's so important. And like I said, I just don't think it's not taught in school how to have that dialogue, whether it be in a business setting, in a friendship setting, in a relationship setting. It's hard really that people don't get taught those skills, and I think that's a big part of hopefully being intimate with somebody is how you talk to them, and most importantly how you listen to somebody. I think we're not really good at listening these days,
Yeah. And
for sure.
there's that saying, um, listen for understanding. And I don't even think you should listen for understanding. I think you should listen for support, listen to support. That's it. You don't even have to understand. It's like it's
Yeah.
another level as well. And the comment you made about, being able to talk to someone on the train, or, if if a sure way to be able to do it, and I just don't think people do it enough, is just to compliment someone on something, whether it could be something that stands out about them, piece of clothing or their energy or just anything. I just don't think we're afraid to say what we feel or see or think. And if it's positive, why not? You never know what might happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're nervous about somebody not taking a compliment, even noticing a book in somebody's bag and saying, "Oh, I read that. What do you think to it?" Or "What are you listening to?" "Oh, I love them as well." And it's just something they think, well, actually, okay, this is going to interest them. They obviously like this thing. I like it. Why not have a conversation? Not with an aim immediately to get somebody to bed, but just just have a chat with somebody, which
Yeah,
we
yeah,
struggle with really. And
yeah.
I think a lot of that is how do men, women, individuals, how do they sort of build sexual confidence? So I guess if you've been on and off the apps, if you've been off the apps for sort of 7 years, if you've been in a long-term relationship and you've broken up, and then you're going to go back into the sort of dating pool, if you like, and you might have only been with, one or two people, or in the last few years, or you might have been one person for the last 10 years. How do you sort of rebuild that sexual confidence, and then how are you then able to communicate your desires with people?
I think it's a great question. Um, what makes me think is it's a little bit we're scared of the unknown or uncertainty. So it's very unsettling for our brains. And the way to overcome is to get certainty by actually putting yourself out there and doing it. And especially, say, men coming out of marriages. I've spoke to quite a few in that situation, and they're confident men. Like they might be lawyers or work in the corporate setting or have
Mm,
their business and this is like a bit scary because they've been married to their wife for 30 years
mm,
and now they're no longer married. And sometimes it is just
yeah.
holding their hand and saying, "Here's some pictures. These ones will be good pictures." So I'd say to the man, find someone who you trust around you to sit with you and help you, choose some pictures and write a line or two for your bio. And then in terms of um, the sexual intimacy side of things, I think we're all nervous with new people. No matter how confident you are, it's a new experience, and so just to be kind to each other, and also with all of this, it's just one experience that you can learn from. And so don't so some people who lack confidence or whatever, like even me, when I was about 16, I was in this pizza restaurant. I'll never forget it. It was the end of term, and the boys came in the pizza restaurant, and they gave us a score out of 10 based on how hot we were. And it still stayed with me, And then one of them said, "Oh, she's a 6," and he goes, "No, she's a 6.5," or whatever. And it still has stayed with me since I was this 16-year-old vulnerable girl. So sometimes that 6.5 label pops up for me. And the same with men. Your friend Dave was always hotter at school. The girls liked him, or you always picked last for the second last for the basketball team, or whatever happened. And so we've just got to realise that it's part of being human, and you aren't that 16-year-old anymore. And we're all just, ducks, with looking calm on the top and then like paddling for our lives below. So once we just go, everyone's human and everyone's doing their best and there's no right or wrong, I think it makes it easier. And then just, giving it a go, and don't saying just because it happened once, I had this bad experience. I was on apps and it was just shit. And you were on it for one time for 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
it's not a shiny answer. It's more of a, you know, go on the journey, enjoy the journey, learn from the journey, know that you're a good, kind person and it will be fine.
It's a good answer. I Yeah, I mean, if most of us think back to our first sexual experience, if we thought that that's what sex was forever and ever, we might not bother again. Some people might have been lucky, and it might have been amazing, and there was stars and fireworks and everything else, but maybe for most people it wasn't. I
Sorry,
do
I just got to
totally.
share. My first kiss was just terrible. you know, And it was on this basketball court, and my friend, the boy was kissing her, and this boy, we'd just met them that day, and he kissed me, and it was awful. I remember seeing years ago later at a pub, like when I was 20 or something. I said, "You were my first kiss," and it was shit. He goes, "Do you want me to, can I have another go?"
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. Absolutely.
Yeah, so, we've all got our stuff, don't we?
I like that. Yeah. No, I remember mine. It was surrounded by other people, and it was like, "Are you going to kiss her or not? Are you going to kiss him? Are they going to kiss?" It was like, oh my goodness! It was for the least. Well, I certainly wasn't thinking of romance then. I guess it was the
Mm.
least romantic thing. I thought, I'm not sure I really like this. I like I do I love kissing now. I think kissing's massively underrated, but I
Yeah,
love
I think
kissing.
so
But at the
too.
time, I thought, oh wow, it's just such an intimate thing, and sometimes when you're in a relationship, you don't really kiss that much anymore. Really, you might do the sort of peck in the morning, have a good day, bye, I love you. I don't know, is that kissing? Not really. Yeah, kissing's good. Um, no,
I did see
I
someone
love the
recently
dance.
where they said if you wanna spice up your marriage to, spend just a couple of minutes kissing properly a day, that's it. Like, even a minute, a proper kiss.
Yeah, yeah. How often do we sort of kiss somebody for a minute?
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
Mm.
Yeah, it's lovely. It is. When you so when you sort of first meet somebody after being on Tinder with them, do you just like a regular date, I guess, you just hopefully meet in a public place, get on with somebody, and yeah, the sort of context of online dating, initial meetups, the same as meeting somebody that a friend set you up with, I suppose. You just meet them and just carry on from there. You forget
Yeah.
about the fact you met online, you just carry on from there.
Yeah. They said when again through research that in the States, 40% of people who are together at the moment, in the like got together in the last 5 years is through online dating. So yeah, so it's everywhere. It's out there. There used to be stigma around it, but it's not anymore. It's oh yeah,
Right.
we met on Bumble or Hinge or Tinder or whatever it is. Um, I've had guys who are a bit jaded by taking a woman out for dinner and paying and not going anywhere and taking the next one out, and I get that too. So what
Yeah.
I always suggest is trying to create as less friction to your everyday life. So I will often go for a walk, and I'm going to go for a walk anyway in a nice park near me. So, hey, do you want to join me on the walk? And so then it's good too, because if you're not vibing, then you can have a 20-minute walk or a half an hour walk. And if you are, you
Yeah.
can have an hour and a half walk. So I've done I'm like, yeah, like, let's get some exercise. Who wants to play tennis? Um, or just go for a coffee rather than committing to a meal. So it's sort of easier to exit, if you like.
Mm.
And then also, my friend, she's really auditory. So she always asks them to have a phone call before she meets them. And if she doesn't vibe on the phone, then
Yeah.
she's like, well, I'm not going to waste my time. And did you know that if she quite likes someone, they have a bit of banter, she gives her phone number and says, I'd love a chat. 50% of them don't call.
It's
So
weird, isn't it?
yeah, so she's really and for myriad of reasons. One got like, "Oh, I'm not really
Mm.
comfortable, on the phone. I'm too busy." Whatever the excuse is, right? She's
Well,
got her
that's
answer.
a great start, isn't it?
She's got her
Yeah,
answer.
it's a great start. Yeah, absolutely for a phone call. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're like, "Great." You can get rid of that one then because, and also don't try and work it out. Don't try and work out what the reason or the excuse is. Just move on because sometimes they don't even know.
I think you've said that a few times now, and I think it's a very, very strong advice to, yeah, not almost not expect everything and then be disappointed. And I think to manage those, you might see it as a knockback or whatever, manage those, which I guess sometimes is hard if maybe if you've been in a relationship, it's not ended very well, and it almost feels that online dating, any sort of dating really, until you're comfortable with yourself again, it's not necessarily the best place to go to rebuild your self-confidence. It
No.
might be for some people, but for others, yeah, if you've had a pretty shitty time or you've been cheated on or whatever, you're just struggling a bit and going on there and yeah, like say somebody doesn't get back in touch, somebody doesn't call you, it's very easy to sort of think, oh my God, nobody's gonna like me and I don't know why I'm on this and my last partner was right and yeah, she said I was a dork and I'm never gonna find somebody. It's like my goodness. you end up spiraling. So I think you need to be pretty confident, in yourself, really. And like you said before, it's not just because you end up meeting somebody for coffee or tennis or a walk or whatever. Don't think, right, this has got to be it. I've got to get this right, because if I don't get this right, then what'll happen next? It's like, well, there's might have been a right one. You might have to go through one, two, three, four, 1,000 people before you meet the right one. But yeah, like you say, don't stress it too much, because it's more pressure you put on yourself. And then if you do end up hooking up and you're about to go to bed with each other and you find out you're struggling and you can't get it up or whatever, it's, oh my goodness, you put so much pressure on yourself to be whatever the other person wants you to be. You sometimes forget how to be yourself. And I think it's really important to be who you want to be and not try and pretend. Because if you say, oh yeah, you play tennis, I love tennis as well. And say, right, should we play then? I think, oh shit, I haven't played tennis for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's you've come undone, really. So you've got to be genuine, I think.
Yeah, I think you do. And see, some people say, "Oh, I hate seeing guys with all these gym photos up." I go, I don't mind seeing a guy with some gym photos up. Maybe not all of them, if he goes to the gym 4 times a week, because some girl
Yeah.
out there who likes someone who goes to the gym 4 times a week, then that's a good match. So I'm all for presenting yourself in a way where you're being authentic, because
Mm.
like we have a joke to another friend. We just say to her, oh my goodness, she says, I like really ugly men, don't I? She goes, it's just not about looks to me. And so when guys can go, oh well, I'm not tall, or I'm not this, or I'm not that, um and even amongst my girlfriends, we would always disagree. I'd like him. Oh, I don't see what you see in him. I like him. Like there's one or more for everyone. So I think also getting caught up on not being this right sort of guy um, is
Yeah.
bullshit. And also, oh, the 10% of the guys, they get all the women. No, mate, don't get any women, because your photo is, you've taken it from below your chin. You've got 3 chins, and you've got another photo of you with your jocks and Jim Beam cans in your bedroom in the background. So you
Yeah.
also have to put a bit of effort in.
Yeah, it's. I know. I totally hear that. Sometimes you want to say, you got to take a look at yourself, mate, and I wonder why that's happening.
Yeah, but the guys have
And
told
actually,
me,
it doesn't.
they said that there's women like that as well. So this is not just a boy thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Girls do the same. So I think um, some people really like to blame outside circumstances. Like the people always blame the economy, or
yeah,
they blame COVID. It's still 3 years after COVID, but they still want to blame COVID. It's sort of that mentality where it's the app's fault, or it's the women's fault,
yeah.
or it's the whatever. I think you've really got to own your own stuff as well.
No, totally. And like you say, all the app is it's a tool, really. If you go back 200 years to the Victorian time, you would write a letter to the person you wanted to be betrothed with, which would go to her father, and then he would decide whether he could date, whatever. Then it started becoming a bit more permissive. And then in the 60s, when finally we got sort of contraception for women as well as for men, it became slightly more open. And then, yeah, it's become, oh, well, this friend, I think you would like them. And then now the dating apps just give you that and a much broader scope, really. It's just
Yeah.
a different means. And I'm sure in the future it'll be, you'll walk past somebody and something will buzz and it's like that's your match, or you something telepathy or whatever. But it'll just keep evolving. But
Yes.
again, the principles remain the same about being able to
Yeah.
communicate, listen, take the cues, and all that good stuff. Yeah. So, like I said, the apps aren't to blame or anything like that. It's just if you're going to use something, whether you're preparing for a job interview, whether you're preparing for a date, preparing to go on dating apps, yeah, you want your CV to look great for a job, so you want your photographs to look good for a dating site. You would hope.
Yeah. And so
A friend of
two
mine, a
things.
friend of mine.
Go on.
I was saying a friend of mine. She has me take her photographs for dating apps, and she's been pretty successful. So anybody wants photographs taken, yeah, I'm your man.
Yeah.
But no, she's again because she knows that trying to do a sort of selfie from here or here is not going to really cut it, really. So yeah,
Yeah,
put a bit of
exactly,
effort in.
exactly. And my dad, because I'm the youngest of 9, they were dating in the late 1940s, and um, they had dance cards. So he would have to
Yeah,
you
yeah.
would go to the dance, and then the women would reject you face to face and go, "No, you can't write your name on my dance card. No," or "Yes." And so, in actual fact, these days, all you have to do is sit in the comfort of your own home and
Yeah.
get rejected, and no one will know about it. Like, and you don't even know exactly who's rejecting you. So I think it's much easier. But another point I want to make is it was just on the news today. The dating apps have lost quite a bit of money of late because the Gen Zs, the 18 to 25s, they're exiting. They're not using it. They're just like, nah, this is not for us. So I find it really interesting. So things that are popping up, like running groups around the world, as a way to meet
Yeah, yeah,
people, and then also using technology, but in a different way. So they'll use things like Snapchat, and the older ones will use Insta, and slip in to their
yeah.
DMs, etc. So yeah, you're right. I think it'll be really interesting to see how it all evolves.
Yeah, I don't know what my kids use. They tend to meet people. But they tend to do what we did. I think is, or what I did is meet people at parties. Friends have parties, and they go to that almost that human thing. And then after that, then they snap or Insta or whatever, and they use that as a tool to do it, really. So when you were on Tinder, not betraying any confidences, but did you ever come across people that maybe shouldn't have been on there? So people that were partners of other people, or people that were, yeah, I thought you were in a relationship on there. Did you ever meet people or get people's photographs come across that were, that's a
Um,
surprise?
uh, so it's a variation of it. So what happened is I dated a couple of guys who
Mhm.
um, then they got in relationships, and then they came back, and so they didn't originally go on there when they were in a
Yeah,
relationship.
yeah.
They then contacted me later.
Mm.
There's also a lot of um, more open marriages and open relationship scenarios where they will
Yes.
state that.
Yeah.
Um, and I think for me, it's just about ethics, and you should be genuine with your partner. So I don't care what scenario people have, but I think you should be honest with your
Mhm.
partner.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's a key thing. And if somebody says, "Look, I'm dating other people apart from you," as long as you know, as long as you don't walk into a restaurant with a girlfriend and you're surprised that your partner sat there with somebody else.
Exactly.
And is there an etiquette? So if you've been on, I don't know, you've had coffee, you've had a walk in the park, you've had dinner, you've perhaps been more intimate with somebody, you've sort of kissed them sort of, for a few minutes, or whatever your definition of intimacy is. Is there a sort of a protocol for then you leave Tinder after 4 dates, or you stop being on Tinder? Is there a general rule for Tinder?
I Once you start dating, I think you
Mhm.
should leave. So I think it's sort of an unspoken rule
Yeah,
that once you've decided that you're going to be exclusive and you start dating, that you're off the app. Because I have seen people
yeah,
very upset when they found their partners are still on there once they've started dating. So
yeah.
yeah, I definitely think that you should um, get off the app. And something that it's a little bit different to your question, but I thought where it was your question was going to go is when should you contact the person after your first date? The 3 day rule where you've got to wait and wait.
Oh my
Um,
goodness! Thank God I
so,
don't do that.
so I've got a bit of a formula for that one because a friend of mine used to get really sick of waiting. She just like, I'd rather bad news than have uncertainty because I just don't survive in it very well for 3 days. And so, what I think
Yeah,
the great thing to do is after you've had a date with someone, or hook up or whatever it is, you just write and say, thanks, it was great to meet you, or thanks, that was fun. And if the
mhm,
person likes you, then they will like reciprocate, and it doesn't matter if it's not 3 days. So just say I've had a walk in the park with a guy and it's been really great and I really like him, and I just go, thanks, it was great meeting you. Then he's got a signal that I'm into him because I've written, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, you too." Then just leave it, and the ball's then in his court. But I feel like I've made it clear that I like him. He's replied to me straight
Yeah.
away. I'm quietly confident, rather than just waiting it, playing these games and all that stuff. It's just painful.
On Tinder, is it still generally that the onus is on the guy to make the move, to ask for the next date and to sort of say, right, well, what about going out for dinner next, or what about coming to this birthday party with me, or what? Is it still fairly traditional in that
Yeah.
many women, many guys think that it's the guy that should make the move?
Yes. So, the guy still has to hunt. It's just, guys are hunters. So they've still got to make the move and got to, ask for the dates. What I would love them to be able to do more is actually do it. Oh, we should
Yeah,
catch up sometime. Like when? How about, are you free next week,
yeah,
Thursday or Friday?
yeah.
It's like really take the bull by the horns and make plans. So I really do think that they should. On Bumble, the woman has to send the first message within 24 hours of
Yes,
matching, because
yes.
that's how it's set up. But then after
Mhm.
that, and they can be lazy, I must say. They can say hey or hi, and then it's up to the guy to come in and take the reins, so to speak.
Yeah. It's so ambiguous, isn't it, when somebody says, "Yeah, yeah, it was great. We should do it again sometime." You start thinking, does that mean sometime never? Does that mean like sometime next week? Does that mean yeah? And sometimes you just got to say something. So it was really great. And are you free this weekend or next
Yes.
weekend? And that's it. If they say no, next move on. If they say yes or debating about the date, that's something different. But I think what most people want to know, listen to this podcast, and I've been holding off asking the question, is was Tinder ultimately successful for you in a personal relationship kind of way?
Um, See, there's a presumption there that I wanted a personal relationship. So,
I guess it depends what success is, doesn't it? I suppose.
yeah. So I'm single by choice. So
Mhm.
I go through so my take on it is, you don't have to decide what you want in the longer term in life, but when you get on the apps, decide what you want right then. So in the first instance, I wanted to get laid, and I did that tick. The next instance, I wanted to hang out with fun guys and have adventures and stuff, tick. And but I never, and I had my two kids. I'm happy. I'm reasonably successful. Like, um, so I feel like I got what I needed from it um, at the time. But yeah, but the presumption is that everyone wants a partner, and I'm one of probably the minority of people who at this stage I don't. Who knows what's going to happen when the kids leave home and go off to university or whatever? But at the
Yeah, yeah.
moment, it sort of works. Yeah.
Were some guys intimidated by that? That you were almost almost like your book title. Okay, I'm here to get laid and be great for a good time, and who knows, we'll see each other whenever. And yeah, that's me. That's who I am. I'm not looking for anything long term. Were guys some guys intimidated, but some guys thought, "Wow, this is great." What was the response that you got?
Um, Anyone who wanted more really, it didn't even go past the messaging much, because I just, you know, was not what I really wanted. And then I was strategic. I chose younger guys. I like younger guys anyway, so they're probably not ready to weren't ready to settle down there, and especially not with an older woman. So no, the ones that I chose and chose me, um, uh, and some of them I caught up with for years. So in that way, it worked quite well. So yeah, I think if you're, I don't know. Like, you've got to read between the lines, look for signs, read what they've written, listen to what they tell you, and then I think there's less surprises.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, friends with benefits or just associate with benefits.
Yeah,
It's a fine way to be.
It's because everyone tries to get the everything from the one person. Like someone says to me, because
Yes.
male friends of mine, oh my gosh, they go, Maureen, don't you want companionship? I'm like, I've got plenty of companionship. I've got these lovely girl friends I go on adventures with. Um, I've got, all my clients. I've got somebody to go to if I'm upset. I've got my kids for company and adventure. I've got a lover if I want one. Like it doesn't have to all be the same person. And sometimes people put pressure on each other in relationships. Like you're supposed to be my best friend, my confidant, my adventure buddy, my shopping buddy, my decision making buddy, like and and help me raise the children. And it's a lot. And so
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate that I've set up my life to get different things from different people. And is it perfect? No, but it's works for now.
Yeah. No, the friend I mentioned that I take her photographs, she's very similar to you in terms of she sort of dates younger guys and is not on it for long-term relationships. And I remember somebody asked her, does she not want companionship? And she says, if I want companionship, I get a dog. So she was, which I really liked. Yeah, and exactly the same. And I think as we get a little bit older, we do carry some emotional baggage with us. We have certain things we like, certain things we don't like, certain expectations we have, and yeah, trying to sort of reconcile both of those with each person bringing what they bring, somebody else bringing what they bring, and expecting everything to be a sort of perfect fit. It's pretty hopeful, really.
Yeah.
Would you consider writing a companion book for women?
No.
Women don't need it.
No, there's plenty of women helping women. I want to help men. I like men. I think they get left out a bit. Sometimes I think they get judged too harshly, and it's like few men behave badly and it's all of mankind, and I don't like it. So I feel strongly about I'm still a feminist, but I can still help men. And if I help men, then by doing that I'm helping women.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
Another
I think well,
question
thank.
I have a question for you. So, the whole companionship thing,
Yeah,
because a
yeah.
lot of men say companionship. So you're obviously, it sounds like you've got a good relationship with your wife, but do you have,
Mhm.
I think men use the word companionship because they can't have the same conversations that they have with other men that that they can have with a woman, like, and get intimate and talk about real stuff. What are your thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
It's a very good question, and I think one of the things I think when you've been in a relationship for it depends on the relationship. It might be 1 year, 10 years, 30 years. That you sometimes look around or look at your partner and think, "Gosh, we haven't had a conversation for such a long time," because we know each other. We move around each other, and you're in that part of the house. I'm in this part of the house. You're doing that with the kids. I'm doing this with the kids. Whatever, and you sometimes sort of realize you don't have those conversations with your partner, but you're having it with other friends. And most of my friends tend to be women, just because I find that women are much more able to talk about just can actually talk about stuff as opposed to talk about the footy or talk about whatever. And you might have a few guy friends that you can talk about things with, but generally women are more open to dialogue. I think so. I think that's one of the things in a relationship is sometimes you almost got to take a step back. I think and figure out, well, how do we have this conversation? We haven't talked about this for so long. We're so busy bringing up the kids or so busy with our careers or whatever. And I think that, if you've been in a relationship for quite a while, some of the things you enjoyed when you first met might be different now. There might be things you want to try differently. There might be experiences you want to have that you feel uncomfortable talking about. There might be things that you want to try, or it could be anything. It could be going on vacation. It could be trying a different sexual position. It could be anything. But how do you have those conversations? I think is something that a lot of people struggle with in relationships. I talked to a lot of people on this podcast, which is brilliant. And I talked to a couple of women that are dominatrix, and they say that the reason that men come to them, it's not typically for the to be whipped and chained up. A lot of it's online dominatrixing, if that's a word. It's because they feel embarrassed to ask their partner for something. If you're a man and you say you feel like being a bit submissive to your partner, oh my God, is she going to judge me differently? So it's hard, I think, when you don't have those conversations. And again, we've just somehow lost that ability or almost skill in having a conversation. And I think what she said is that when sometimes when men when men approach their partners, not all men, some men are wonderful, I'm sure, at conversations, but they've been thinking about something for, I don't know, 6 months, 9 months, 2 years, whatever. And it might be, oh, I don't want to go to Christmas with your family again this year. We've been there 10 years in a row. Or it might be, I want you to tie me up and use handcuffs on me. We've been thinking about it for sort of 2 years, and we suddenly blurt it all out. And the poor partner, the wife or the girlfriend, is thinking, okay. And they haven't caught up with this. They haven't been thinking about it. And you almost expect them to be on your wavelength. So when you sort of turn around and say, oh, I wanted you to tie me up and whip me. It's like, okay, where's this coming from? And that's
Mm.
hard. So it's almost, how do you broach conversation? Like, it'd be really great if we could talk about some things sometime, actually. I know the shortest things that we both want to talk about. What are the things that sometimes you think about? What are the things maybe in this film that we've seen? I saw you read 50 Shades or whatever. What did you think to it? Do you think, did any of it turn you on? It's just trying to have a conversation. And I think yeah, we sometimes struggle almost with the person that it sounds crazy, the person we know the best or been with for the longest. Well, that person has the ability to frustrate us more than anybody else ever in the history of the world. And then also, we sometimes find it hard to have a conversation with them because we're fearful that what we say might be taken in the wrong way or judged or whatever, really. So that probably doesn't answer your question. I was getting something
But
off my
it's very,
chest.
it
But I
is,
do think,
yeah, it's fascinating. I think, yeah, a few things there about again, that theme of conversation, how important it is, and even in long term relationships, and how difficult it can be.
mm,
And then also that a lot of people get different things from conversations with the opposite sex.
mm,
Like you obviously
yeah,
gravitate towards women because you get can get to have a different sort of conversation. What about the men out there who don't have many female friends? No wonder they want
yeah,
some some connection and intimacy.
definitely. Yeah. And I think for me, it's not been too psychological about it, but I think my dad was always at work. So my conversations as a kid were always with my mum. So I think that was part of it, really. And I just always felt more comfortable. My first few teachers that I thought were amazing were women, and I think it just became more comfortable, really.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and most of the teams I've worked in have primarily been female teams, which hmm, hmm, maybe I should explore that with a psychologist. Um, so, so what's next for you? Career wise, personal wise, life wise. What's Maureen going to be doing in the next 5 years?
Well, we bought 2 acres of land on Vanuatu, so I built a house
Wow,
on a almost
wow,
deserted island, which is the locals. There's a few expats on there now. So that's all just been finished recently, and yeah, I think I might continue down the path of writing another book, and I think it's going to be something around. Communication sounds too broad, but I'm really good at making difficult concepts easy and giving really good examples and being really practical. So I sort of want to get that out there in the world before I die.
You've got a fair few years to do that then. Well,
Yeah, but
Vanuatu sounds
imagine
fascinating. That's like it's like a whole
imagine
new,
if I
that
kept
that
getting
sounds
all
like
that stuff
a
out
whole new
there.
podcast.
Pardon?
Yeah, Vanuatu sounds like a whole other podcast conversation. Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So I always say I'm either a genius or a fucking idiot. One of the two, and I
Yeah.
don't know yet.
There's a very fine line. I think there's a very, very fine line. Within any genius, there's a part of that person that is a fucking idiot. I think,
Yeah,
yeah. But
that's
within
me.
most idiots, not many geniuses.
Mm.
But no, I look forward to the book. And if you need
Okay,
a male
there's
view or a co-author, give me a shout. That's the one.
that's the one.
That's the
Yep.
one to buy for sure.
But you know what?
But my
We
lot.
sell more of it in the
What?
UK and USA than Australia.
Really?
Yeah, go figure.
It's funny, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm,
And my last question, if that's all right, is
yeah.
So you must put a lot of time into your family, your friends, your dating, your books, your business. Spread yourself fairly thin, I think, in some way. Vanuatu. So how do you look after your own mental, physical well-being? How do you nourish yourself so you're able to stand up and do all these things?
Um, I've got an answer. I'm like, is that really? So I run marathons.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've done. I'm about to do my fourth in about a month.
Wow.
So like on a Sunday, I'll run and I'll listen to podcasts or I'll just listen. Um, it's called naked running when you're not listening to music or not listening. You're just there with your
Mhm.
thoughts. So I'll do lots of walking and running. And I do things like I have a remedial massage once a week. I go to recovery lab, where you're stuck in a chair with boots on your legs and you can't move.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I do those sorts of things, and I like to just laugh and be silly and have those sorts of adventures. The other things I really like is we just spent a month I did. I drove around Europe with my kids for a month over Christmas. I learnt about winter
Wow.
tires.
Yes. I was gonna say it's very different than Melbourne at Christmas.
So,
Yeah.
it's quite therapeutic and relaxing for me to like spend time and have adventures and just so it's not time for yourself doesn't always have to be this quiet time, I think.
No, no. It's about recharging, isn't it? However recharging comes. I did for a second. I got quite excited when you said naked running, but now I understand it's not quite what I was envisaging.
I know the things they call like what well my friend said, what's in the did you run naked? I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? No. Yes. But that's the thing. People don't even do it. They even push their child in a pram looking at their phone. They're in the restaurant together with
Oh,
their phones on the
don't get me
table.
started.
Just
Yeah,
in case the
yeah,
conversation with my husband's boring, I might just look at my phone. Like it's just taking over. So I really like to try and do things where I don't have my phone as well.
yeah. They did an experiment. I think it was at MIT where they people between 18 and 25 took their phones off them and they had to sort of sit in a quiet room for like an hour where it was sort of silent. And I think I think something like 80% didn't manage to last the hour. They couldn't
Really?
bear to be in sort of silence or quiet for an hour really. But yeah, the world's changing.
Yeah, I know.
But
I
I
knew,
look
I
forward
knew it.
to.
Had, no, just one last thing. I knew it had gotten to a real
Yeah,
bad, like a low, when when I go to the loo now. I look for my phone before I go. It's like I can't go without
yeah.
taking my phone. Like what? What's the world become? In the old days when I was little, we used to have a map of the world with all the explorers in the toilet, and I used to memorize the, or you'd have a newspaper on the ground, and like
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty sad. I think it's a huge problem that we really need to address.
And it's one of the things I can remember going on a date with somebody and arranging to meet somewhere to watch a film or whatever at sort of 8 o'clock. And there's some issue. There was the trains weren't working or whatever, and she was like an hour late. But we couldn't do anything about it. She couldn't contact me. There was no such thing as a mobile phone, and you just sort of wait. You either waited or you walked off. Whereas now there's almost I'll give you a call when I get there. It's much less. We feel the need to sort of commit to something much less because right, if you can meet you here, wait, I'll be standing there. I wouldn't be, but holding the red rose, and I'll be that person, whatever. Whereas now, I'll give you a call when I get there. It's sort of it takes away almost the need to plan and formalize, and which is great in some ways, but in other ways, it takes away
It gives it
the
gives
impact
people
of
the
decision
permission.
making.
It gives you people the permission to be late, doesn't it? Because you just go, I'm running late, and
Yeah,
in the old
yeah,
days, they wouldn't wait for 20 minutes; they'd be gone.
yeah. And people will I find sort of cancel at much shorter notice now. Yeah, I know I was meeting you now. I can't meet you now. Yeah, I'll give you a call tomorrow and we'll sort it out. What?
Yeah.
Whereas before you'd have planned that in for weeks in the future, really.
Yeah.
So sorry, I look forward massively to your next book. And yeah, I'd love to talk to you again about Vanuatu. That sounds
Awesome.
fascinating. So thank you for taking two things really. Thank you for taking the time to do this, and thank you for recognizing that most men aren't aren't shits. We just need a bit of help, really, in what we say, how we deal with people. So anything that can help men is going to help women as well. So yeah, thank you for doing that. Appreciate it.
Excellent. Lovely to talk to you.